What's up, everybody? Every month on the channel, I talk about two stocks that I think are interesting, that I think look like value, hopefully potentially deep value. These are often companies that are less followed, less covered, that you're probably not seeing videos about on other channels. And in this video, I wanted to share two stocks that I actually bought within the past month. As always, nothing in this video is a recommendation for you to buy any of these stocks. I just give you my opinion and I tell you what I'm doing with my money. If you get value out of the video, subscribe to the channel. If you want to join my Discord or grab my Google Sheets template for analyzing companies, then consider following me on Patreon. Now, let's get into it. The first company we're going to talk about is StoneCo, ticker symbol STNE. I've talked about this company before. I've owned this stock for about a year and a half. I bought this in basically the beginning of 2025, end of 2024. At the time, the stock was in the 8s. It was trading for roughly 5 times earnings while growing. It was a pretty big winner for us, ran all the way up to $20. I wish I had a crystal ball and sold then, but I didn't. I've simply done nothing with my position here for the past year and a half. I've not bought, I haven't sold until last month. The stock had dropped down from about $20 to under 10. I thought it was simply too cheap. It was trading once again for a little bit under 5 times earnings. So I added to my position. First change I've made in this holding in, again, about a year and a half. I still think the stock is very cheap. I think risk reward is good. Now, obviously, if you're looking at the chart here, looks pretty ugly. Was trading in the 60s back in 2021, obviously had a massive crash. In fact, during this time, it was even owned by Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett's company. All these payment stocks, they really fell off big in 2021. StoneCo was no different, but all we get to do now is decide what do we think the risk reward looks like today. So let's talk about this company. Let's talk about what they do. They are a fintech company in Brazil. Part of their business is facilitating payments for small businesses. They have these point of sale terminals. That part of the company is perhaps similar to Square or Block in the US. So that's the payments side of this company, and they take a little bit of a take rate on that total payment volume. But recently, take rates have been coming down in Brazil. That's partly because Pix, which is a payment platform that was launched by the Central Bank of Brazil about 5 or 6 years ago, I think it was in 2020, that has been picking up in popularity. It essentially allows individuals to send and receive money almost without fees. It's similar to maybe Zelle in the US. And even though StoneCo supports Pix, and they still are taking a very slim take rate from the merchants for using Pix, but the take rates there are much less than with traditional credit cards. And because much of the payments growth in Brazil is coming from Pix, that means that, your earnings from payments is going to come down for all of these fintech companies. And that brings us to the other area, the other pillar of this business, which they call credit. It's basically a banking segment. They collect deposits, they give out loans, they make money on that difference in interest. And in spite of the fact that this is a fairly competitive segment, StoneCo has continued to perform fairly well. The top line has slow growth, and while total payment volume in cards is down slightly, they've made up for that by increasing that banking pillar. The credit portfolio has grown very well. And while an increase in that credit portfolio does increase risk a bit, we see non-performing loans has gone up. That is to be expected when you have a young credit portfolio. Non-performing loans is going to creep up a little bit and then stabilize. Their coverage is very good. Defaults are coming down in March. I think the risk here is acceptable. And the reason why I like this company is they're just extremely profitable and very cheap. They're guiding for roughly 11 reais in earnings per share for 2026. In US dollars, it's about $2.20 right now because the conversion is roughly 5 to 1. We see the Brazilian real has actually appreciated against the dollar over the past year. Over the past 5 years, it's roughly flat. Over the long term, it's down quite a bit. I'm actually assuming that it will depreciate against the dollar. You are taking on currency risk here. I think that's a real concern. I just think you're getting more than compensated for that in the price that you get for this company. At $2.20 in earnings per share, you're looking at, just over 5 times earnings for this company at today's price. That's not very demanding. And what I like is they're extremely shareholder friendly in what they do with their capital. They've bought back an absolutely massive number of shares. And in fact, they say that they're going to repurchase at least another 1.4 billion reais throughout 2026. That's, almost $300 million US in shares. It's roughly 10% of the company. They also just recently paid out a $1.53 per share in a special dividend to shareholders. And that was for selling off a non-core division of their business. It was Links. It was a software part of their company. So for me, I got paid close to a 20% one-time dividend if you base the dividend off of my purchase price, off of my cost basis on this stock. So I like how shareholder friendly it is. That's a huge plus for me, especially with companies in some foreign territories or areas where governance may not traditionally be as good as it is in the US. I want the business to be shareholder friendly and ideally returning capital to shareholders if, that's the best use of their capital. Should mention that there's an election in Brazil this year. Lula, the current president, he is up for election against Bolsonaro and also Renan Santos. Lula is favored to win. His policies are fairly non-business friendly, and many would argue not great for the economy of Brazil. Brazil does have some macroeconomic problems right now. Still, StoneCo is very profitable in this environment, but if Lula loses, then I see that as possible additional upside here. I think a lot of Brazilian stocks would rally quite a bit if the presidency changed hands. But even if there's no change in sentiment here, even if StoneCo continues to trade for, about 5 times earnings or thereabouts, I still think you can get a great return on this stock. Again, when I bought the company, it was trading for only a little bit less than 5 times earnings, so you could argue that sentiment then was pretty similar to what it is now. And in that time, not only am I up about $3 in just terms of the capital appreciation, but also I've pocketed that $1.50 in terms of the special dividend. So overall, I'm up more than 50% on my cost basis in just a year and a half, and that's not from multiple expansion. That's not from a big sentiment shift. Even with low growth, if this company continues to return capital aggressively to shareholders, I could definitely see you having a 20% IRR here. That could essentially be entirely from just shareholder returns. So again, this is not advice. There is risk. You're investing in Brazil. There's currency risk. There's operational risk here related to their credit portfolio. But I think the stock is cheap, and that is why I added to my position in May. Now, let's move on to the second stock that I bought last month, and it is Charter Communications. I've talked about this company before. It has one of the ugliest charts you can possibly imagine, down 64% in the past year. Over 5 years, it's even worse, down 80%. This stock used to be trading for over $800 a share. And while over the very long term, I suppose it's still done okay, clearly investors are not going to be happy with this one if you've held it recently. I don't expect this to be a popular pick. In fact, I don't present stocks on this channel thinking that people are going to agree with me. I know that most people will inherently not agree with me. Part of deep value investing is that a lot of times you are running contrary to popular opinion. Most investors will not share my views here. That's totally okay. And again, I'm not trying to convince anyone to buy these companies, but I am going to tell you why I did. And for me, Charter is already a 3% position. I've been building out my holding here over the past month while it's been so cheap. This is a boring, stagnant business with a large amount of debt, but they make a ton of cash. Roughly, $5 billion in free cash flow. And when you compare that to the market cap, they're trading for, roughly 3.5 times free cash flow. But the real story here, the real thesis is that cash flow is going to increase, even though revenue is going to be static or decline in low single digits, because capital expenditure is going to come down. They say growth CapEx is going to pull back. Total CapEx out, in 2028, 2029 is going to be more than $3 to $4 billion lower than it is currently. That additional cash flow will flow straight to the bottom line. Now, if you believe that CapEx story, if you believe that free cash flow growth, then Charter today is trading for more like 2 times future free cash flow. Now, Charter is a mediocre business. They're slowly losing cable customers, about 1 to 2% a year. They are making up for that a bit in growth in mobile, but the bottom line here is revenue is stagnant. In fact, I'm actually assuming organic revenue declines very slightly, 1 to 2% a year. And I say organic revenue because they are in the middle of some mergers right now. They have a smaller merger with Liberty, but the big one is Charter is merging with Cox. This is a pretty big deal. It did get the approval from the SEC back in late February. So this merger is very likely to go through. The only hurdle now is California. Their regulatory body still has to approve the deal. They are expected to, but obviously that still leaves some uncertainties there. But the big elephant in the room and what we have to talk about is their debt. Charter has a massive amount of debt, about $94 billion in debt. And that might make this investment simply a non-starter for many investors. That's totally fine. I'm not here to convince you to buy Charter. This is certainly a risk, but you should know Charter, like many other telecommunication companies, they've had a lot of debt for a long period of time. Over the past decade, they've been basically within a similar band of leverage. In fact, recently actually leverage has come down a bit. After the merger with Cox, that will actually increase debt, but it will also increase earnings, it will increase EBITDA, and it will actually probably lower their leverage. This company produces so much cash, they're able to meet their debt obligations and, again, still have $5 billion left over. You can see their maturity profile here. A ton of their debt is out, more than a decade from now. Some of their debt is not due until 2050, 2060s. Most of this debt is at fairly low fixed interest rates. To me, the largest risk here is that they do have a significant amount of debt coming due in the next 5-6 years, and they will have to roll some of that debt over, which means they're going to have to refinance that debt, likely at higher interest rates. I think you could be rolling about, $20 billion of debt or so at rates that are probably about 2% higher than the rates that they're currently looking at. So if you look at 2% of 20 billion, you're talking about $400 million. That might be a reasonable estimate of their increase in interest payments over the next 5 or 6 years on the debt profile that they have now. And while that's a lot of money, again, this company currently has free cash flow of $5 billion a year. And if you even partly buy this CapEx story over the next several years, then you probably are starting to realize why, in spite of all the red flags around the debt, why I'm interested here. Is this a mediocre, stagnant business? Yes. But do they have real assets that are likely going to produce significant amounts of cash for many, many years? Also, yes. I think it would be pretty reasonable for a business like this to trade for, maybe 5 times free cash flow. So just looking at the core business, if you don't think that their CapEx story is going to look as good as what they say, and if you think they're going to have to roll over their debt and that they're going to have to pay higher interest rates in the future, then maybe taking that into account, you say, okay, I think the free cash flow is going to go to only maybe about 7 billion. If you think the market cap will be roughly 5 times free cash flow, then you're looking at $35 billion. I mean, that is a double right there from where they're trading at today. And that's not taking into account the free cash flow that they're going to generate in the meantime, that they're using to aggressively buy back shares. Charter has returned a ton of capital to shareholders. And while you could definitely argue, in fact, I would argue that that has been value destructive, buying back shares up here at $600, $700. But at the prices we're looking at right now, $140 a share, I think using this capital, returning it to shareholders by buying back stock, I think that's a great use of that capital. The stock reminds me a little bit of Warner Brothers Discovery. Obviously very different businesses, but similar in the sense that Warner Brothers, they had a massive amount of debt, but they also had a ton of free cash flow. A couple years ago, you were able to buy that stream of free cash flow for an extremely cheap price. Debt brings risk. It brings the possibility that you simply might be wrong. And when you're wrong on a company with a lot of debt, it simply could be a zero. However, for Charter, I think they're going to produce a ton of cash for a very long period of time. I think the stock is extremely cheap. I think everyone is scared of owning this company, and that has allowed people like me to come in and buy the stock for simply dirt cheap prices. Also, there have been several insiders that have been taking advantage of these prices recently as well. You have 4 buys from not only the current CEO, but also 3 directors. These are purchases on the open market. Most of them were being done at about, $170-ish a share. You also have a former CEO of the company, Thomas Rutledge, who sold his stake. So, maybe a little bit of a mixed bag. But while people sell for many reasons, there's only one reason people buy, and that is they think they're going to make money. And the fact that you have 4 insiders buying here, I see that as a positive signal. So again, I know that this won't be for everyone. Not a recommendation to buy Charter, StoneCo, or any other company. This is just my opinion, tell you what I'm doing with my money, and for me, I'm buying these companies. So with that, I think we'll end the video here today. If you got value, subscribe to the channel. If you agree or disagree with anything I said, leave that down in a comment below, and I hope to see you all in another video.